I remember there was this particular day that I just, I broke down and I was sobbing seriously. And I remember my supervisor actually told me that, Blessing, I don't think you're good. Like, I think this is the point where you should consider taking a break. Hey guys, so it's story time today, and that is because I'm going to be sharing with you guys my first 6 months as a psychiatry trainee. Okay, so I'm all excited here, but then it wasn't really like so cool. But anyway, I'll be giving you guys all of the gist in this video today. Hello, my name is Blessing, and I am a first year psychiatry trainee here in the UK. And on this channel, I create content about health, wellness. I also talk about my life as a doctor and as an immigrant living in the UK. If this is something that interests you, feel free to actually become a part of our community. Okay, so I made a video recently, and some of the questions or some of the comments I got was, oh, please, can you tell us or share your experience about your training as a psychiatrist? And so I'm all here for you guys. Okay, I think I'm really happy like sharing it now, because if I had done this like some 3 months ago, I probably would be crying while I am talking. But I think this is actually like the best time to make this video, because now I am in a better place to actually talk about it. To start with, yes. So I'm a first year psychiatry trainee, and don't even think about it, because I know the next thing you want to think about is psychiatry. Anyway, this is actually not that video, but I'm definitely going to be telling you guys in the future, why I actually chose psychiatry. And I'm also going to be taking you guys along, as I go through my psychiatry training. And maybe at some point, it might actually be able to, help you change your mind eventually. Peradventure, you have a wrong picture of, that field of medicine called psychiatry. So I'm going to start this discussion from before I started the training. So the last 6 months was actually my first posting, and that is because our postings are in blocks of 6 months. So every 6 months you start a new posting. And so the whole specialty training in the UK is actually for 6 years, but then it's divided into 2 sections. So we have the first 3 years that is called the core psychiatry training, and the last 3 years that is called the higher training. So for the first 3 years, you're going to do everything. So you go through various specialties, you rotate through various specialties of psychiatry, and then for your last 3 years, you would decide on a specialty you want to go into, and that's what you're going to do for those 3 years. So right now, I'm just rotating through everywhere. So I'm talking about the last 6 months because it's actually like a significant one for me, because it's my first posting and a lot actually happened. Like, guys, a lot really happened. I remember there was this particular day during what we call like a supervision meeting. So it's more like I was meeting with my supervisor, and it's usually like a time to talk, talk about things you're learning. It's just a time that you have with your supervisor for your own, like for your personal development. And I remember there was this particular day that I just, I broke down and I was sobbing seriously. And I remember my supervisor actually told me that, Blessing, I don't think you're good. Like, I think this is the point where you should consider taking a break. So just to let you guys know that it wasn't like it was so cool or it was just like a walk in the park. It was actually difficult for me. And a lot of things probably contributed to this. And so let me not digress. So let's start from my expectations versus, my reality. So I told you guys, if you have actually been following my channel, you will realize that, so this offer I got is actually like a late offer. So a late offer is like the applications have already closed. So for my round, the applications had already closed and they were already done with the allocating the available jobs. And suddenly from nowhere, I just got an email telling me that, oh, there's a job available and if I was interested. And I actually accepted the job, and I was so excited because, at the time when it came, I had already lost any hope of, starting training. In short, I'd already started preparing for the next exams. So at that time it came, I just knew that this was good, and I was so excited. I was so happy because I was actually ready to take that next step in my career, which was to start training. And if I want to be sincere, I didn't have a lot of expectations because this job is actually my first exposure to psychiatry as a doctor. So I didn't have a lot of expectations. I didn't know what to expect as a trainee. I didn't know anything about, I didn't know so much about the NHS system. I didn't know so much about training. I didn't have anything, like I didn't have any expectations. So I was just coming down, okay, whatever it is, I'm just going to find my way around it. And so when I came, what was the reality? Yeah, I know you're probably one of those people and maybe you're thinking, oh, you're probably trying to imagine what happens on a mental health ward. But then it's not like that. No, it's not like that. It's not what you're thinking. So now, my first week, the first week we had our induction. It was more like, oh, you're welcome to the specialty, you're welcome and everything. And we're all looking new. I started the training on Wednesday. Thursday were inductions. I came to work on Friday and I was on call on Sunday. And I was actually a bit worried about it because I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing during the what do I know? I don't know anything. What am I supposed to be doing during my call? I was actually a bit worried about it, but then it went well. And so after that first one, I was like, not bad. So not bad. Yes, there was actually a lot to learn. Mental health, is not like the mainstream medicine. Mainstream medicine, a lot of things are general. But then in mental health is actually like, for me, this is just my experience, but for me, it was like a whole new specialty, learning new terminologies, hearing a lot of new things. You get like saying like a lot of things were new, a lot of things were different. You get like, so for me, it was like a new experience, a new specialty, a new job. I was trying to really understand what's going on in this place, you get. And that was how it was for the first 2 weeks. And guys, let me tell you, I remember the first patient I was supposed to see. And then I got there, and by the time the nurses were done telling me about this patient, I actually became scared to see the patient because I was like, okay, what if I go there? I was just thinking of all the worst things, like just the way you guys would think about a mental health patient, you get. So I was also like that. But then right now, no, I don't think that way anymore. So I remember my first week, sometimes I will actually get anxious when I'm going to the ward because I'm like, So I remember there was this particular day, I was in the doctor's office, and the doctor's office was not too far from the dining. And then suddenly I started hearing some loud sound, like somebody was smashing stuff. And so I got to know that a patient was actually smashing the furniture in the dining hall. And it was just a wall separating the doctor's office and the dining hall. And I was the only doctor in that room. So I was like, oh my God, what if he's able to eventually, what if he smashes the wall? I was just thinking of all the worst things. I know the worst part was that I couldn't even step out of that room because I was like, what if I come out on the corridor? And then, I was just thinking of the worst things. So I was just stuck in that room. And later, I decided to okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? So I took my alarm and then I stepped out on the corridor. And by the time I got to the corridor, I realized that there were already a lot of other, other members of the team who were trying to help the patient to become less agitated and to, just to help the patient, relax and, get stable. And I actually felt that day, I felt like, okay, yeah, definitely. I felt like I was not a doctor that day, but then I decided not to be too hard on myself because I'm like, this is just my first week, really. And of course, I don't also want to be, I don't want to be the hero and quickly run out and then, anything can go wrong. There's already a lot of things that have been put in place to ensure your safety. There are so many alarm systems, there are so many professionals around, there are so many things that have been put in place, even the design of the ward. A lot of things have been done in such a way to ensure that, that you are safe. However, you are also told that you still have to ensure that you keep yourself safe. So, and that is one of the things that I had to learn. So, you know, like when you're interacting with a patient, know when you should go with someone, know when you should go alone. Never forget to go with your alarm. You know, did I have any challenges? Yes. It was actually tough, and I guess one of the reasons why it was tough for me was because, number one, I told you guys that I didn't have a stable clinical supervisor. So in a way, it was it was actually tough, you know, having to work with different people for a very short time. You know, it could actually destabilize you. And like, I'm so new to this specialty, I don't know anything in, I'm serious, I think I can say with the whole of my chest, I didn't know anything in psychiatry when I started. You get, like, besides the general knowledge I knew as a medical student, I didn't know anything in psychiatry. There was a lot of new things to learn. You know, like, the whole experience is even more than the medical knowledge. There was actually so much more, like how to even do things or sort out things on the ward. You know, like for me, it wasn't really the job that was stressful for me. It wasn't the job. It was all the other things around doing the job, you know, communicating with colleagues. I remember there was this time that my educational supervisor just emailed me and said, okay, Blessing, there's actually been some issues. We got some complaints about you, and you know, there's a need for a meeting. You know, that actually was really destabilizing for me, because until that day, I thought I was doing okay. I thought everything was okay because no one had raised any complaints about me until that time. And then suddenly I got this barrage of complaints all at once. Later, when during the meeting, and then we went through the complaints, and you know, they wanted to hear from my own end what actually happened, which I actually really appreciated. You know, like it was actually a lot of comfort for me that, okay, people did not just make complaints about me and they just took that complaints like that and just concluded that that was it. Like, I appreciated the fact that they wanted to hear from my side. They wanted to see, did it really happen this way? What happened from your end? And so as we were going through those complaints, they got to know that some of the complaints were unfair. Some of them were actually, like, should not even have been escalated in the first place. They were not even things that they should have raised with my educational supervisor. It was just something that they should have probably just mentioned on the ward, and I should probably, be informed about it, and that should be where he ends. But you know, I actually got to that time where I'm going to work and I am actually anxious. Like, I am anxious going to work. Even when I finish from work, returning home, I'm still feeling the anxiety. Did anything happen at work? Was there something I didn't do well? Was there something I forgot to do? I hope nobody's going to complain tomorrow. You know, I actually got to that point. Even at some point, I started doubting myself. I started doubting my abilities. You know, I started feeling like maybe I was just not caught up for this psychiatry thing, or maybe I just couldn't do the job well. But you know, I'm just thankful that at different points I had to like give myself like what I call a personal psychotherapy. I would probably I usually sit myself down and then talk to myself, remind myself, you know, remind me that, Blessing, you are intelligent, you are smart, you're competent, you're good. You know, I had to actually keep doing that, you know, for that period until I was able to get to a point where I was able to get my confidence back. And, you know, I was able to get to that point where I was no longer having those anxiety. I was no longer having those fears. And I was able to, you know, I just decided, I got to a point where I was able to actually take everything as a learning curve. And I did really reflect on that event, because I had to ask myself, what did you do right? What did you do wrong? What do you need to improve on? And I learned a lot from that experience. And all those things that I've learned, I am taking to my next posting, because my next posting is definitely going to be better than my first posting. Like, definitely, because I learned a whole lot, you know, from my first posting. And I'm taking that all along with me for the rest of my training. And so I actually had some really difficult times, you get. So, but anyways, it's all past now. And I'm moving over to the next phase. Like, so to summarize the whole experience for me, I would actually say that the whole experience was a rich one, because I had like the good days, I had a lot of bad days, but the most important thing was that I was able to learn from those bad days. And I feel like the things I've learned, they have kind of shaped me. And I know that I still have a lot to learn. And I think also that I don't need to be too hard on myself, because I am just starting this journey. Like, I am a bloody first year trainee. You get, first year psychiatry trainee, and this is like my first posting. And like, I don't know anything in psychiatry. I think I just want to think that way, that I don't know anything in psychiatry. So why should I be too hard on myself? So I just started to see it as, okay, I am learning. So, and learning is not just learning the medical knowledge. If you work in the NHS, you will know that the NHS is much more than, the medical knowledge. You have to learn a lot of other things, professional relationships, communication, a whole lot of things that you have to learn, which are like very important skills in you being able to carry out your job effectively. It's not about you. It's not a question of your competence. It's just a question of you understanding the system and being able to carry out your job effectively in that system. So it was actually like a major learning curve for me. And I would really say that I learned a lot, in my first 6 months. And this is just my experience. It may not be the same for everybody. So peradventure you're looking towards, starting psychiatry training, then I'll say Psych is actually like a very cool place. Like, overall, Psych is like a cool place. What comes to your mind when you think of psychiatry? How do you feel? Do you think you can actually consider psychiatry like a specialty of choice? And if yes, why? If no, why? So guys, please share all of those thoughts with me in the comment section. I want to know what you guys think. And if you have any further questions, or you would want me to create any other video around my training, feel free to let me know. I'm going to actually respond to that. So this is how I'm going to be ending my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, comment, share, and also subscribe to this channel. Until I see you again, take care. Bye.